Welcome to the December 15th Wichita Public Library Board of Directors meeting. As a quorum is present, we will go ahead and get started. Our first call to order will be a staff presentation, Leadership 2020 Accomplishments and 2021 Goals. Who's going to give that?
We all are.
Good. Take it away.
Admit this, whoever's calling here.
Sure.
Julie?
Is
Okay.
now joining.
I'm ready to begin. Okay, so on the 2020 work plan accomplishments under supporting a literate community, this year the staff streamlined the 1,000 books before kindergarten processes so customers can finish their final transaction in one visit at all of our locations. We partnered with USD 259 and WSU's Public Policy and Management Center and other early literacy organizations for the first of a 3-year grant from Kansas Health Foundation. We also created our own summer reading program with a Wichita-based theme for the 150th anniversary. We had much fewer than usual, but we still were able to get a total of 3,071 participants this year. The Read ICT reading program, this was the first year that we used the Beanstack app for tracking participation, and participants grew by 55% from 811 last year to 1,298 this year. We did monthly drawings for that, which may have helped with registrations, and we did an additional challenge in January that drew 817 readers. The 3 short story dispensers, 2 of them were relocated. The current locations are Wichita State University Library, Hunter Health Clinic on Grove Street, and Reverie Roasters on Douglas. And in addition, all 3 devices were reconfigured for touchless use, and they have 3 new options: short edition stories for adults, children's stories from short edition, and local stories. Under ensuring digital inclusion, we initiated a campaign for e-cards for students in area schools. We were able to issue 3,347 cards in 14 schools, and it was successful because of how many students were doing school virtually. Under providing equitable access to information, we were awarded a $7,600 Humanities Kansas grant for a Candid Conversations project called Wichita Legacy African American Baseball in Wichita. Due to COVID, the grant was declined.
Is now exiting.
But they encouraged us to reapply in 2021. We also were awarded a $15,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts for a Big Read celebration of Circe, which has been postponed until January, February 21 due to COVID. End of my report.
Thank you, Julie.
This is Jeff. For my portion of it, for the ensuring digital inclusion, we did start and implement a 3D printing service for customers. We had 5 before that service had to be canceled due to COVID, but that was a program to allow customers to print their own pieces on the 3D printer, and we look forward to starting that back up once we get going here. We found a solution to help us save faxing costs, approximately $3,000 per year. We'll implement that next year. We have been looking all this year for hotspots as far as to circulate those hotspots. We had a really good IMLS grant that we submitted. We did not get funding for that, but it provided a great starting point for us to continue those efforts. We also created 2 new pages I wanted to mention. One is a Become an Informed Voter page. It was really a sort of a central linchpin for a lot of programming on how Wichitans could become better updated and informed about the presidential and 2020 elections that went on, and we look forward to continuing that. We also, in response to COVID, created a variety, almost 8 different pages with various COVID resources to help the community respond to that. So that was a great accomplishment we did that year. Sarah.
Okay, so under supporting a literate community, we helped develop our and support early literacy and school readiness by refreshing a lot of our collections for board books and other early literacy collections. We added a new resource called Wonder Books, which are, for my age group, it is the equivalent of the book and record that says ding when you're supposed to change the page, but it is the 2020 version of those to help those students who need to read and listen at the same time. We also did huge work on our e-collections. We added digital magazines in response to closures in March, and we added e-audiobooks, which we rolled out in January, and we just increased the size of our ebook collections tremendously, and usage has gone up accordingly, over 50% so far over 2019. Under providing equitable access to information, we completed the cataloging and processing of 6,400 titles donated by the Kansas State Daughters of the American Revolution. We added 2 new databases, Value Line and CQ Researcher. And we invested in collections to help parents and students who were embarking on homeschooling or virtually schooling for the first time. We tried to get collections that would support that. We also looked to update our recession collections, which would be job and interview skills, personal finance, debt management, home repair, and cooking on a budget, those sorts of things. And that is it for me.
Okay, this is Tammy. And under delivering administrative activities and efficiencies and effectiveness, one of the things that happened this year was we transitioned to a new city finance system, which has been challenging, but I think we're also going to find that we're able to get a lot of data out of it that we weren't able to get out of our other systems, so that we're looking forward to learning more and more about their reporting system. And we're also transitioning to employee self-serve, so some of that has gone into effect already, where employees could sign up for their own benefits, and so that's kind of encouraging. And then also, just due to COVID, we kind of changed our focus a little bit, and we spent time like educating our staff on the proper cleaning protocols, ensuring that we had the proper equipment for them so that they could be safe whenever they're doing their jobs. And we also redirected like our event staff to be more doing cleaning, since we didn't have meeting rooms to set up, where they did a lot of the high touch services throughout the day. And we also brought in extra cleaning crews for the branches, just to ensure that our staff had safety. So those are some of the things that we kind of refocused during the busy time. And then also the admin staff spent time keeping track of all the eligible COVID expenses, so that the city finance department could include that in the reimbursement documentations that they sent for the CARES Act money.
And as you know, we began implementation of our branch plan. We started the remodel of Evergreen, which is further along now with making progress with our architectural plans. We have moved out of the space and getting ready to open up our temporary Evergreen location on December 21st. We have just about finished our relocation of the Linwood branch to the District 3 facility, and so that project is nearing completion. We began implementation of our branch programming plans, but that changed course when COVID hit. So we switched to more virtual programming and doing some things differently with that plan. We completed a lot of continuous improvement initiatives, lean processes, such as completing the digitization of our customer registration file that we brought over from the old central library. We discontinued a fine appeal process and moved the ability to make decisions to frontline supervisors. We implemented a new process for handling adult accounts that have changed from a minor customer type, which has reduced the number of accounts deleted and also streamlined our process. We shortened the process and time it takes to complete a decision for customers who claim they've returned an item that we haven't found on our shelves. We executed the ability to take interlibrary loan requests via the phone. We made a gender field optional field on registrations and in customer accounts. We've reduced steps for a second review of registration form data entry. We've implemented a process improvement using tablets in conjunction with our web-based LEAP system in branches to complete pulling of holds, which also reduced the number of sticky labels printed for a cost and time savings. We are also utilizing tablets and branches for other lien processes, such as searching for items claimed returned by customers. That's some of our ongoing things. We always look at how we can streamline things and make things easier for customers and our staff. Finally, though, in addition to all the work that our staff have done on what we consider to be normal work and executing our annual department work plan, staff have navigated the unexpected pandemic that hit all of us. We've made major changes to the way we do work and how we provide library services, and we made these changes in a very short amount of time. We continue to adjust to and make changes in response to the ever-changing pandemic in regards to the safety of our staff and customers. And to add to this, we made immediate budget cuts as the city was hit with sudden budgetary repercussions from the pandemic. And we want to say thank you to our library board of directors for your support through these challenging times. So that's a glimpse at what we completed in our 2020 department work plan, and we'll move on to a little bit of what we plan for 2021, which is under new business for you to endorse our 2021 department work plan. Julie will start us off again.
Okay. So under the supporting a literate community, as far as enhancing services to support early literacy and school readiness, we will continue working with the Wichita Coalition for Early Literacy as they continue to create and implement their plan for citywide literacy efforts. We also want to work on creating virtual programming options for the early literacy group in the style of what we did for Kansas Reads to Preschoolers, possibly using other formats as well. We want to also develop virtual classroom instruction to support schools who are unable to bring students on tours at the library. And we will continue our initiative to issue e-cards to Wichita area students. As far as encourage development of a community of readers and writers, we will be encouraging local authors to submit content that we can include in our short story dispensers, and possibly having a learning circle on writing short stories. We will also expand our virtual programming in the area of literacy and reading promotions, such as Local Author Day, NaNoWriMo, Book Talks, and Readers Advisory. And finally, we'll expand learning circles to branches. Currently, the staff who have been doing those have been at the Advanced Learning Library, but we think there's an opportunity for branches to participate as well. Under providing equitable access to information, we will create dialogue among diverse communities by reapplying for the Humanities Kansas Baseball Grant and continuing year-round programs in support of Candid Conversations. We will encourage development of an informed and engaged community through our participation in the Wichita Journalism Collaborative Initiative, basically providing information to the public in new ways. And basically, we will also expand our immigration and citizenship information in a number of ways. We would like to partner with the Immigration Support Services Network, who do an annual event for immigrants. We want to work on translations to make sure that that information is available to them in their languages. We want to create a library welcome packet for them, and then we will be adding passport services from Evergreen Branch. And then we are working with a phase project to create a web-based digital archive for our photography collection. So we will be working with the Pocket Sites app to create a new virtual tour of Old Town and adding an additional unidentified photos to the archive itself. And finally, we will be working with the Wichita Genealogical Society to look for ways that they can help us prioritize our projects and work with us for project support. Jeff.
Thanks, Julie. For ensuring digital inclusion, we're also beginning focusing on a lot of virtual type programming. So we're going to look at the training that we do for customers and see how we can better support those needs using more virtual and other experiences. We also will be looking at ways we can connect with customers. We're going to look at chat reference where you could talk with someone or text with someone, one of our reference staff. We'll kind of look at wireless to see if we can make that more accessible to customers. Then under providing equitable access, we're going to, again, look at that Become an Informed Voter page to make it more localized and more relevant for the upcoming elections that we'll be having now that the presidential season is over. We'll also be looking at ways to make our self-service customers, the language and the services that we have that are self-service, make those easier to use for customers. So we'll be focusing on that. So a lot of looking at ways to enhance our virtual and other services in that environment. Sarah.
Okay, so under supporting a literate community, we are going to continue to expand our resources for supporting grade 3 reading proficiency. We already have a grant in place to expand Wonder Books to all of our locations rather than just the 3 that we rolled it out to. We've also been experimenting this last year and hope to expand our grab bag and personalized reading list services to help customers or target our recommendations to customers for whatever they need at whatever age they're at. For providing equitable access to information, we are going to focus on refreshing and rebuilding our STEM collections for adults because those collections can occasionally get out of date, some areas faster than others, and we need to put some focus on them. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Under delivering administrative activities with efficiency and effectiveness, we're going to look at implement service enhancements by evaluating our signage and making sure that it is the stack signage is good, the directional signage is good, and we'll be rolling out signage at Linwood, Evergreen, and here at the All. And also our the computers that the customers look up catalog information on, we'll look at the signage there and make sure that it's easily understandable for customers. We're doing a website refresh. We'll also hopefully be completing the STEM garden, and we're going to complete print collateral audit, investigate expanded push messages to customers, and also review the research pavilion organization and cleanup needs. Especially during this downtime, we'll have time to really focus on that. And then we also are going to complete department administrative projects by reinforcing employee skill set through staff and service training. We didn't get to have that this year, but we're hoping that we'll be able to do that next year. And we're also looking at maybe some virtual training that we can do with staff. The city system training for new timesheets, because we're going to transition to a new timesheets program starting this next pay period. And we also want to look at re-energizing our volunteer program once we're able to get volunteers back into the facilities.
And in addition to that, we'll continue the implementation of the branch plan. That will include collection reviews at Rockwell and Westlink, branch inventory at Rockwell, and weeding at Rockwell and Westlink so that we can start preparing for those branch remodels. We will complete the relocation of our Linwood branch to the new District 3 branch. We will complete the remodel of our Evergreen branch library to be in one community center. We will also look at lean improvements that are compatible with our branch focus areas. We will update our branch programming plans, which will become an annual process. We'll complete our continuous improvement initiative. Every city department will have a lean project that they will complete for budget savings in 2021. We will complete a plan for converting to the web-based catalog and inventory management software and evaluate room reservation process for programs and meetings. So that, again, will probably be another process improvement. So that wraps up just a short description. May seem long, but a short description of our overview on our 2021 department goals, which you'll look at under new business and hopefully see to endorse those goals for us.
Very good. Thank you, Julie, Jeff, Sarah, Tammy, and Christy. Does any board member have a question regarding any of the information that was just given to us? I think everybody's available for questions. I would have one for Jeff. Jeff, you mentioned under hotspots and grants, under the CARES Act, were we able to go through the city of Wichita for any of the county money for CARES Act for hotspot money?
We were not. We weren't able to get anything through the CARES Act on that. We did look at several other grants, but we were unsuccessful. But we did get a lot of good feedback, and I think we made a lot of progress towards building a better and better case, but we did not get anything through the CARES Act, no.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, any questions or comments for staff? Hearing none, we'll go on. Next on the agenda will be the approval of the agenda. Everybody received their packet. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Jonathan, I move to approve.
We have a motion by Jonathan. Is there a second? Shannon, I think I hear you. I think I see you. I don't hear
I'm
you.
sorry. Count that as a second.
Thank you, Shannon. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign.
Donna Douglas.
Is now exiting.
Next on the agenda will be public comment. Is there anyone from the public to comment today, Christy?
Not to my knowledge. No one has notified me.
Okay. Next on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes of the November 17th, 2020 Board of Directors meeting. Everyone should have received that in their packet as well. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve. Mr. Donna.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Unfinished business, District 3 branch name. Lauren?
Hopefully you can hear me and see me now if you'd like to. Well, we do have the results of the community engagement. So I would say the second round of community
Is now
engagement.
joining.
As you recall, we, the board, narrowed down the 70 recommendations from people around the community. We narrowed it down to 5.
And then we put it back out to them again to see which of their suggested names that we narrowed down would they then be most in favor of. And so that is on page 13 of your library board packet. And the top ranked name of those 5 was the Carl Brewer Library Branch. The next most popular was Meadowlark Library Branch. Third was Ronald Walters Library Branch. Fourth was Cynthia Berner, and then Ad Astra. So we know what the community's top 3 were, and we also have our board selections. So we'll go through a process of picking it out, but then that recommendation will go to the city council, and they will also have several of our other names that we liked as options if their knowledge around the bigger plans for the city and other things that are going on make them choose something different than our first recommendation.
Well, Lauren, if I understand correctly, our job today is to get the top 3 vote getters down to 1, and then give that to the city council.
Yes, we'll give that one recommendation to the city council, but we'll provide supporting materials of the others that we also thought were strong.
Okay. How would you like to get the results from the board members who are with us today?
So what I will ask in a moment, we may want to have a little bit of discussion, but somebody can make a motion for a name, or we could do a ranked choice voting, which would be basically each board member tell us their first choice, second choice, third choice.
Okay.
So I know other people have questions, and maybe there's some of that to address first.
Right. Let's go ahead and go with questions for Lauren. Jonathan?
What was the vote total?
My hand.
We had over 2,000 responses.
It was 4,200.
4,000.
What were the totals for each name?
Do we have the totals for each of the 5 names that were listed here?
Yes, I do have those totals. Carl Brewer was 1,389. Meadowlark was 1,059. Ronald Walters, 705. Cynthia Berner, 603. Ad Astra, 483. And I'll add, this is not a scientific survey. There were people that voted for more than one in a single submission. People could technically vote more times if they would like. And I think that did happen to some extent, but I don't think it, I don't have any reason to believe it changed the first, second, third outcome.
Okay. Other questions?
Chuck, do you have one?
Yes, I have a question and then a comment. My first question, not being a lifelong native here, what was the significance of Meadowlark? Is that a name used for that region of the city, or where did that come from?
So some of the and maybe some other board members could say why they also liked that one, because it was popular among board as well. Meadowlark is the name of one of the neighborhoods connected to the park that the branch will be near. The branch is actually in Grandview Heights neighborhood, but they're neighboring. Also, somebody mentioned that it's our state bird. There's nice imagery, and there used to be a drive-in movie theater on that spot where the branch will be, and that was the Meadowlark Drive-In or something very similar to that.
Okay, all right. And then the comment I have been tremendously impressed by the life of Ronald Walters. I didn't know anything about him and have seen the information and done a little research on my own. I'm just going to leave it there for right now, and we'll see how the discussion goes, but I might have a motion later on. Thank you.
Yes, and again, this recommendation comes from the board. It doesn't have to directly be exactly the community votes. That's one of the things that we will tie in to our decision as board members.
Thank you, Lauren. Shannon?
Yes. Lauren, forgive me for not doing my research on this, but one of the things that I did like about Carl Brewer is I think that he was mayor during like 2000, 2001, when the city promised us big money and they were all about the library. And then things changed in 2008 with new city council, and suddenly we were wanting a book warehouse, and we then thought, from there, and anyway, so that's what I was wondering. And I'm pretty sure he was. So do you know, was he mayor during that time? This would be easy to find out, actually.
I think somebody here could recommend his. I'm not personally aware of Carl Brewer's specific involvement with this library branch, or about the library system in general. I don't have that awareness. I know somebody here might.
It would have been the library system itself, I think. But yeah, I'm not remembering that history, and he wouldn't have been, hugely. Well, I just don't know. I'll do that research a little bit just while we're talking. So, but thank you.
Okay, hang on just a second, Jonathan.
What I remember about 2018 is when the city asked us to look at closing branches. We gave a recommendation to close Evergreen and Linwood. Carl Brewer was the one who said that it was not that vision to open a brand new main library and then close branches.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Anybody else with any questions or comments for discussion? We start. Okay, seeing none. Lauren, may I suggest one way we might do this is to just go around the room and have each board member list their first, second, and third preference in order, and see if any majority comes out by doing that. That's one way of doing it. Or any board member could make a motion for a name right now and see if it were to pass. What would you think, Lauren?
I had held out both possibilities. I'm ready to do a ranked choice voting, but that could also be a piece of what we do as a result of somebody's motion. I don't mind either.
I would suggest that we just go ahead and do a ranked motion. It's not going to take that long. I think everybody probably has an idea already. And we have a list of all of the board members that are present today. So what I'm going to do is ask Christy to identify each board member, and that board member can respond, and we'll go from there and see where it goes.
Can I ask who joined at 12:30 with a 620 phone number? Okay, if I don't mention your name, I may have missed somebody joining if you joined late. Abby Boatman.
Abby, can you vote in the chat? I saw your note that you can't do audio right now. And again, just a reminder for everybody, we've got Brewer, Meadowlark, Walters, Burner, Ad Astra. Please tell us your top 3 ranks of those 5.
Clarification.
Okay. I see Walters would be first choice, Meadowlark would be second choice, and Ad Astra would be third choice.
Donna Douglas.
Walters, Brewer, and Cynthia Bernard, sorry.
Thank you, Donna.
Jennifer Goheen.
Mine is Walters, Brewer, and then Burner.
Lauren,
Mine would be Walters, Burner, and then Brewer.
Shannon,
I would go Walters, Burner, and Meadowlark.
Kevin,
Kevin would go Brewer, Walters, Meadowlark.
Sedona,
I will do Brewer, Walters, then Burner.
Shelby,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, number 1, Meadowlark. Number 2, Brewer. Number 3, Ad Astra.
Chuck,
I'm going to throw something in here. My first choice would be the Ron Walters Meadowlark branch. I think combining the two. But if I'm doing a rank free voting, I'd say Walters, Meadowlark, Burner.
Jonathan,
Carl Brewer, Ronald Walters, Meadowlark. I want to say, though, that I think we need to honor the fact that we asked the public to narrow it down to from 5 to 3.
Yeah.
So that we're choosing only those 3. Otherwise, Burner would be on the list.
Point well taken. But let's continue for now. Who else do we have?
that's who I had in the meeting, unless I missed someone as we were talking and people were coming and going. Is there anyone else, another board member on the meeting that I didn't catch?
Well, that's 10 board members, and I think Lamont is not here. Justin Henry, are you here? Randy Johnston, are you here? And Aaron, are you here? That's everybody. I don't see any of those 4 here.
No, and Erin sent in that she's unable to join. It's in the note in the chat box.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, my thoughts on this, Lauren, and you jump in anytime you want, is that Jonathan's point is well taken. That we were voting on the 5, even though the community got us down to 3, but that is still our right if we wish. But it is clear that the Ronald Walters received 6 number 1s and 3 number 2s. Clearly the favorite. So at that point, is there anyone that wants to make a motion?
Yes, this is Chuck. I would like to make a motion. I think, and let me explain just a bit. Like I said, I was tremendously impressed with the life of this Ronald Walters. Didn't know anything about him before, but I also like the idea of identifying the neighborhood. And so I would make a motion that we send as our preference the Ron Walters Meadowlark Branch Library.
We have a motion by Chuck. If there is no second, it will die by lack of second. Is there a second for the Ronald Walters Meadowlark Branch Library?
I will second that. This is Lauren. My reasoning for doing so is that I do know some neighbors around the location of the new branch that have really wished that there would be some note about the location where it's at.
Very good. We have a motion and we have a second. Now it's time for discussion. I'll start the discussion. Does anybody know if there is any valid reason why this should not be considered? And I would think particularly length of name. Does that create a problem? Does anybody have a thought on that? I don't know that it does or doesn't. I'm just questioning.
Jonathan's about to speak.
Jonathan.
Yes. My concern is that we will end up with people calling it the Meadowlark Branch. And other people will call it the Walters Branch. The name will be neither nor. It'll either be fish or fowl.
Any other thoughts or comments from the board?
I do, Shannon. This is Shannon. Okay, this is kind of a wacky thought too, because sometimes, I get to thinking, oh man, when you put names out there, there's a lot of emotion attached there. I also thought, and I just about put Meadowlark as my first choice because I like it a lot. But Ron Walters' life is amazing, and he is definitely a local hero on the sit-in, and he stayed in touch with a lot of people in Wichita. But he moved on quite far. But one of the things that, except that he's emerged so popular, but I was thinking if he came in last, we ought to at least offer a place for special collections, maybe in this new district library, that honored Ron Walters. So that's just a thought before I vote.
Good thought. Anybody else? One other thought that I might mention, when we give our information and report to the city council, we could, along with the results, give them a little explanation as to how we came up with some of these things, and maybe something that didn't end up being the number one pick, but was discussed during the meeting.
Yeah.
So if this wouldn't pass, certainly it would be worth mentioning to the council that we considered two names combined.
Yes.
And maybe they would have a thought on that because ultimately it's going to be their decision.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, this is Chuck again.
Yes, Chuck.
By the way, I just want to make a point that I feel kind of bad that, the Citizen Commission picked Carl Brewer, and we're not considering that right now. On the other hand, I think, as Lauren mentioned, I don't think that was a very scientific survey. I think that was just who was motivated maybe to respond. And so I don't know that we need to be held too closely to the way that citizen vote went, although we can't discount it because obviously that are the thoughts of many of those people. So
Sure.
I guess I just want to make that comment.
Okay. We know, Lauren, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, because I don't think I have clearly enough yet, that each of us gets to make, we have made our own ranked recommendation, you could say, based on all of the information available to us and our personal feelings, and all of the information that you have is what that vote can be based on.
Right. Okay, since we have 10 of us here, 10, 9, remember. If we were to do the signify by saying aye, we might not get numbers. So what I'd like to do is just a roll call. if that would be acceptable to the board. So if you are in favor of the motion, which is the Walters/Meadowlark Branch Library, you would say yes. If you're not in favor, you would say no. We'll do the tally and then we will go on. Is that acceptable to the board?
Sounds good.
I have a clarifying question because my phone dropped out and I missed a lot of the conversation. So the proposed name is what took first among the board vote? Or what was the number, the tally? I missed it.
Okay, where we're at is we're going to vote on a motion that has been made, and that would be the Ronald Walters/Meadowlark Branch Library.
Right, I heard that part. So the tallies weren't finished then. A motion went ahead and was put forward. Is that what we're saying?
That's in the tally of, I think, when you all went through your list,
okay.
and then the motion was brought forward.
Okay, so what we have is of the 10 board members who voted, 6 number 1 picks were Ronald Walters, and then 3 number 2 picks was Walters. Meadowlark received 1 number 1, 2 number 2s, and 3 number 3s. Carl Brewer received 3 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 1 number 3, and was not on the ballot for 4 of the 10 board members. Cynthia Berner got a lot of number 2s and number 3s, but clearly is not in the top 3, and Ed Astra was a distant 5th. I think that would be accurate. So at this point, I think we're ready to vote on the motion on the floor. Yes would be the Ronald Walters/Meadowlark Branch Library. No would be you don't like that one, and we'll go on to something else. We have 10 board members present. It could end up in a tie, but let's see where it goes. Christy, you want to call the roll or you want me to?
Sure. Abby?
Abby?
Abby says nay in the chat.
Donna?
No.
Jennifer?
No.
Lauren?
No.
Shannon?
No.
Kevin?
No.
Dang.
Donna?
No.
Okay. Shelby?
No.
Chuck?
Yes.
And Jonathan?
No.
The vote fails. Is there a motion for another idea?
Jonathan has one.
Jonathan?
I move that we forward Ronald Walters Branch Library to the city council as our preferred name.
Very good.
And I'm also willing to accept an amendment to specify an alternate name.
Okay. We have a motion by Jonathan for Ronald Walters with possibility of accepting a subsequent, what was the word?
Alternate.
An alternate name. Is there a second?
Donna. This is Donna. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is Donna. I second.
Thank you, Donna. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to mention another idea too, because I did like combining the names, except Jonathan's point was very good. if it was named either one, Walters or Meadowlark, you could do a section that honors either one. So if it's the Ronald Walters Branch Library, we could, in fact, we could do really a nice section on the Meadowlark neighborhood and some history and the driving, you know, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. And of course, vice versa, actually, if it was Meadowlark, you know, we'd do some special collections, but yeah, it's just a consideration. So.
It's a thought. Thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate it. Any other comments, discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. We'll do the same thing. We'll just do a roll call. For this is yes for Ronald Walters. A no would be you're not comfortable with that, and we'll see where the vote goes.
Okay. Abby? Yes. Donna?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Shelby?
Yeah.
Chuck?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I might count that unanimous.
Nice.
So the motion does pass. At this point, Lauren, what I would suggest is, does the board want to discuss any additional comments from the board to the city council, or just city council, this was the #1 vote, and leave it at that? Because I think there's some people that have some ideas here, Shannon, just like you were just saying. Chuck, like you were saying. But we do have a vote, and it is confirmed, and it will be Ronald Walters singularly. But if there's any other comments that anybody wants the city council to be made aware of, now's the time to tell us, and we will write that down.
This is Shelby. I think the city council does need to be aware, though, of the public's input on Meadowlark, because I did receive a lot of phone calls from people in that neighborhood, hoping that it would be named, you know, Meadowlark, something they can relate to. So I think that needs to be in the comments that it was, let's say, second in the numbers in the polling and the voting from the public.
Very good. Chuck?
Well, I guess I'm okay with it. It sounds like we're unanimous on the Ron Walters, and that's fine with me. I guess my question is, will we send some information to the council of who Ron Walters is and the things that impressed us? Will that be sent as well?
Lauren, I think you're probably going to agree that the city council should get the same information that we all got regarding the Mr. Walters.
Yes, I think we could forward along some of the information that was shared with us, although it was directed to the library board of directors. So that might be an ethical consideration. But, we received some supplemental materials that could be good to share with them. I think that we can certainly include the rationale that was given on the community engagement piece, which was just a couple sentences about each naming idea. And I just wouldn't want to unfairly give a lot of information about one without any of the others. So we can provide something on top 3 names.
Sure. And Chuck, when you were talking about that, were you referring to the general information that we all got when we were looking at 70 names? Or were you suggesting that the council get the emails that we received specific to Mr. Walters from the family?
Well, I think some of both. I think, I would hope somebody can kind of summarize it and get that to them so they're aware. And thinking about this also, of course, my motion was soundly defeated, but I do think it'd be a good idea to mention that Meadowlark was a consideration as well, being part of that community.
Chuck, I have no doubt that between Christy and Lauren, they will be able to surmise and get information to the council that we would all be perfectly comfortable with.
Yeah, I feel great about that. I think if they would just summarize, I don't think you want to inundate them with too much information, but summarize what we received and why we unanimously picked that name.
Okay. Lauren?
So I will certainly do that if tasked to. And I think the other important point is that the reason this goes to city council as a recommendation is because they know what's going on in the broader system. Perhaps there's already plans for one of these names to be used for some other piece of city development that we just aren't in the know about. So that's why we provided some information to help educate them in case they're forced to make a different decision based on the other things that they know are going on.
You want to touch on that?
Could I?
Hang on, Chuck. Christy?
I was just going to give a little summary of the process. When I take it to city council, I don't know if you've watched the city council meetings, but there will be a set of slides that I will go through to first talk about our process. So I will explain, when the board was designated as the naming advisory committee, and then the process that you took as the naming advisory committee to do the community engagement, to gather the name ideas, and then you narrowed down to the top your 5 recommendations, and then went back out for community engagement to narrow that down to the top 3, and then you had your discussion today on making your recommendation, what that recommendation is and why. And so I will list the top 5, at that point in the process, and then the top 3. And I could put the little summary that we sent out in the poll for those top 3 names as to, what they are, and maybe give a little bit more as to the reason why you've selected the one that you selected and what your recommendation is. And then finally, I will ask the city council to approve your recommendation, and then they can have a conversation further and then make their vote.
I'll let them know we're going to go through this.
Hmm?
We're going to go through this again with Evergreen.
I was going to see that in my director's report.
Maybe now would be the time, though. Okay.
Does that process, that was the process. And then if Lauren wants to come as well and speak, I don't know if I'd have to ask on that process, but she could be there for questions as well.
Lauren, would you like to do that on behalf of the board?
I would love to.
Great. We would love to have you do it.
Wonderful.
We put a significant amount of time and energy into this, and it's been quite a process, and we appreciate all that you have done.
Thank you.
Tadana has it.
Tadana?
So I have a question about how the room things get named within a facility. It's done. I was just thinking of Shannon's suggestion of utilizing the other names within the building somehow. I know it's not a part of this, but I was just wondering if we could keep keep these names in our hats, or whoever. How does it process?
I didn't hear that.
You're asking what the process is for naming other facilities, or the process for putting a name elsewhere inside the facility?
Yeah.
Like you did with the Cynthia Burner entryway. This facility is I guess the only separate room within the building would be the meeting room. So there could be a possibility, I would suppose, to name that meeting room, but it's not a building like the Advanced Learning Library where we have a lot of different spaces like a Technovation Center or the TTC and the genealogical room and such. So there may be an opportunity if you wanted to do that. Sometimes another process is with donations for certain spaces. Jonathan?
What about the Alfred branch? It's basically an open room also, but there is an area that is named after Redemarker.
Okay.
That would be something that we could do at Walters.
We could look into that process.
Okay. Very good. Any other, Chuck, you got a hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Lauren made a great point that I think is applicable to the idea of Carl Brewer. The city council has a lot of opportunities to name a lot of things, and I would suspect because of his role, that will happen sooner or later. So I think that kind of makes me feel a little better about not taking his name as part of this, even though that was the community said that, mentioned that name at a pretty high rate.
Right. Anybody else before we go on to the next agenda item? Hearing none, I will make one last point, and Shelby Peterson, if you want to jump in here, that's fine. When we are reporting to the council, I think it appropriate, and Shelby brought this up to me, that we identified that this was not possible without Max Cole being involved in putting such a great deal together with the city of Wichita. He was never going to have his name on the building because that just wasn't going to be possible. You just don't put people's name on the building who you are paying city money to because of the lease. But we should acknowledge in some way his participation in this project and making it happen, because without him, it doesn't happen. So Shelby, do you have anything you want to add there?
Just that my suggestion was that we do a plaque or something on the inside, like we did at the Advanced Library with his name.
If the board doesn't have any objections, we'll take that suggestion and put that in with our report to the council and see what we can do and see if they have any thoughts on the matter aside from what we're thinking. Fair enough? Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, board. We went through that process and it was wasn't painful. It was good. Thank you, Lauren. Next on the agenda will be new business. We have the finance reports. None of the committees met, obviously. Aaron is not here, so I will give the report. We will need to make motions to pay the bills. So in your packet, we have general fund bills for the month of November of $732,652.59. There were no general fund COVID-19 related bills. We had the Linwood relocation expense of $136,970.55. The grant fund bills for November were $15,458.01. And the gift and memorial fund bills of $3,776.83 for a grand total of $888,857.98. I will make a motion to approve the November 2020 finance report and bills in one motion. Is there a second?
Chuck here, second.
And Jonathan beat you, Chuck.
Okay.
And second by Jonathan. Any discussion? I'll start the discussion. Did not see anything in all of this information that caused me concern. So therefore, unless anybody wants to talk about anything within the document, we do have a motion and a second. Any comments? Anything you want to add? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item B will be the update to the Wichita Public Library Policy Manual.
So every quarter we review our policies so that we can make sure that we're efficient and effective in our business activities. And with this last review, it was found that there was one chart under the organizational area where it did not reflect our reorganization of the learning services and partnership and community engagement divisions. And so we made that adjustment to show the education and engagement division as it is. And then in circulation policies, we have added a material type for the e-magazines as a new item type format. We've changed the loan period of older Blu-ray and DVD formats from checking out for 7 days to change to 14-day loan periods. And we removed the new music CD type due to no longer purchasing music. We will no longer have new music as an item type. So these are just format types of changes here for your approval.
I move to adopt those policy changes, motion changes.
We have a motion by Jonathan to approve the policy changes as presented. Is there a second?
This is Shelby, I second.
Thank you, Shelby. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Appreciate the information. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Phone and aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Department goals, we've already been through.
So we gave you some information.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That takes us to special committee reports. We don't have any of those today. Or is there anybody that wants to comment?
We had a couple of support organization chairs on, but I don't think we generally do at the virtual meeting. But if they want to, Christy and Matt, I think we're both on unless they've left.
Christy and Matt, or Jim, if any of the special committee reports or committee chairs are here, feel free to.
Oh, yeah, committee chairs.
Yes, Matt Warner's on. Thank you for allowing the time. I appreciate getting to sit in for all this naming. It's pretty exciting from my end. Just a few updates on the part of the Friends. We did opt to cancel our book sale that was going to be conducted earlier in December. It coincided with the timing of the library to restrict its access. And just given the current situation in Wichita, we felt that rather than risk the momentum we built by having a successful first sale, that we'd hold on doing this second one until our current COVID situation was a little bit lighter, and we could build some momentum that way. So still plan on doing it. It was a great first sale. Doing it all virtually, we'll plan to pick that up again in 2021 when we have a better situation. Additionally, the board has sent out thank yous to all of our friends, volunteers, kind of our annual tradition around the holidays, just to kind of, again, show appreciation for all the work they've done and really just, sticking with us in a tough time. It's been confusing, and we don't always have information or know the next steps, but our volunteers have hung in there, and they're rearing to go when things are a little bit lighter in the situation. So really appreciate them and excited to see them hopefully in 2021. The last note from me is I will be stepping away from the Friends Board at the end of this year. I'm actually in the process of moving. And so in addition to me stepping away, Amanda Schenkel, who has joined us for this call, will be stepping in as the new Friends President and will be our representative here at these meetings. So glad that her first meeting joining, she could see the naming of a new branch, kind of how that's conducted, and get a good introduction to this group. So the board will be in great hands for the Friends for the next year.
Is this Amanda that I see?
Yep, excited to meet all you and looking forward to next year.
Welcome, and we appreciate your being able to be on the board and conduct reports on a monthly basis as needed.
Yep.
Matt, where are you going?
So my girlfriend and I have been together 2.5 years, and she just got a job in Kansas City. So
Wow.
since she now makes more than me, I figured I'm going to be smart and follow her. So.
Well, Matt, we appreciate all you've done for the Friends. We appreciate your contributors to the library board, and we wish you the very, very best. And when you're back in town, come by and see us, okay?
Oh, absolutely. I plan on stopping by.
Thank you very much. Christy Oberg, if you're with us, is there anything that you would like to tell us?
Yes, there's a couple of things I'd like to say. I'll be brief, though. I see we're over time. My first thing is just to thank everybody on the library board for their service. It has been a particularly trying year, and I know that every extra commitment that people take on is just one more thing they have to do. So thank you so much for your service. It really means a lot to me as the foundation president and CEO that we have such a strong library board leading the efforts of the library. So thank you for that. And I wouldn't be doing my job as the leader of the foundation if I did not request a gift from each and every one of you. This year we do have 100% board giving from the foundation board, and my new goal would be to have 100% giving from the library board. And one of the things I'd like to mention there is that, any amount that you give will make a difference. And hopefully each and every one of you received in mid-November a request for a gift. But if you need more information about making a gift, I can share that with you. Just let me know. And we are, as a result of this crazy COVID year, challenged to meet our fundraising budget. So we're really reaching out to those that are closest to the library to ask them to step up now, even if they've never given a gift before. And one of the things that we did, and I wanted to thank you for the ability to be able to ask library card holders to give a gift to the library. That effort has been very successful, and I don't have the total numbers on that yet, but we have surpassed what our goal was. Our goal was to have a 1% return, which would be 50 gifts at $1,500 total, and we've done a lot better than that. You might say, well, that's not a very high return, but on acquisition mailings, when you're sending them out and asking people to change their behavior and give a gift for the first time, 1% to 2% is a good average. So I just wanted to thank you also for giving us the opportunity to approach library card holders. We did mail to 5,000, and my guess is we're probably going to get, by the time it's all said and done, 2 or 3%. So I'm really excited about that, because every new donor is then somebody that's such a valued asset, because that's somebody that we can continue to ask
for gifts in the future. So anyway, I would just like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. Stay safe, and thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Christy. And I'll piggyback off that. It is important that the foundation and library board members are able to donate whatever amount that you're able to do, so that when the foundation members are out soliciting, they are asked about participation at the board level. So that they can honestly answer. Just something that we would always ask our board members to do on an annual basis, whatever amount you're comfortable with, but it is important. Thank you.
Kevin,
yeah.
Shelley, could Christy send that information out again?
She sure will.
As far as like to my email or something, she doesn't have to physically mail it, but an email.
Christy Oberg send out the foundation for the giving information.
For the giving, yeah, for the giving.
Yeah. Christy Oberg, are you still with us?
Yes. So what we'll do is we have a email that's going out on Wednesday, and I will make sure that each and every one of you get that. And then that way you can either make a gift online or you can mail in a contribution. But one thing I wanted to remind everyone of, if you're not familiar with it, part of the CARES Act is that every person, regardless if you itemize your taxes or not, gets a $300 deduction for charitable giving, which that's something new. And it's also $300 per household, so I shouldn't say per person. But so that's an incentive as well. But yes, I will make sure all of the library board members that I have your email included in the email that's going to go out on Wednesday. It's supposed to go out Wednesday around 9:30 or 10. And we're doing that instead of sending a mailed reminder. Last year we sent a mailed reminder at the same time. And instead of doing that, we're trying the email approach to see if the return is as good, because then we'd save postage and paper. So thank you for that request, and I'll make sure that you all are included.
Very good. Thank you, Christy. Is Jim from Genealogical here today? I don't believe he is. We'll go down to the Director of Libraries report.
Okay, so we did receive the certificate of occupancy for the District 3 branch library following our final walkthrough. There are just a few minor things that the contractors were going to take care of. Some of the networking equipment is still being installed. The LED library part of the signs should be installed this week, pending good luck with their staff with COVID. Library's marketing and communications specialist, Sean Jones, has set up a committee to plan a grand opening for the District 3 branch library. And that committee includes Sean and the community services representative for District 3, Maddie Campbell, branch manager Robin Belt, Linwood library assistant Deb Boyer, and myself. The committee will work on plans for a grand opening, which will incorporate virtual events. The Evergreen branch closed for remodel at the end of business on November 30th. All items have been moved out of the branch to storage at the old Central Library, as well as at the Advanced Learning Library. And today at the City Council meeting, the Library Board of Directors was designated as the naming advisory committee for the new Evergreen Community Center. I also received an update from the Assistant Engineer for Public Works and Utilities Department regarding the work on Sycamore Street on the east side of our Advanced Learning Library. There will be diagonal parking spaces on both the east and west sides of the street to the south of the library, as well as off-street parking bays. They have excavated pavement and smoothed out a hump in the road so far. And then I would just like to make a request that all library board members to just please respond to our administrative assistant each month by the date that she asks whether you will be in attendance. This just helps to plan and determine whether a quorum will be present. And then it just helps us to know what to expect. and how the meeting will go. And especially with the virtual environment, it's really difficult to see how when people are coming and going. And so kind of knowing who to expect really helps that process as well. So I do thank you for that help for us. Okay. And that's all I have for the report.
Very good. Any questions for the director?
From the interpreter, could you give me the names of you named the first two people on that?
On our committee for planning our grand opening. Okay, yes, it was Sean Jones, our community marketing and communications specialist. It was the community services representative for District 3, which is Maddie Campbell. And it's our branch manager, Robin Belt, who's the branch manager of both Elford and Linwood. And then it's Linwood Library Assistant, Deb Boyer, and myself, Christy Dowell. And
thank you.
You can do that later if you want.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments or questions for the director?
Chuck here. What's the status of our search for a permanent director?
I have no information different than last month, Chuck.
I believe that the city manager is trying to start the process, and that he was going to probably be getting with Kevin and with Susan Benton of the Urban Libraries Council to talk about the process. And that was the last status update I had, which was from about a week or so ago.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? We're getting long on time here. We're about done. Thank you for your patience. If there's nothing else, we'll go to announcements. Does any board member have any announcements? Hearing none, I will simply say thank you. Thank you to this board. You guys are wonderful to work with. These have been incredibly challenging times. 2020, everybody wants to get out of here quick. And let's hope 2021 is a lot better year. Also want to thank staff. You guys have done an incredible job under the most difficult circumstances. And, you know, it's really hard to plan for something when you don't know what to plan for. So thank you to the staff. And I also want to thank all of our committee members. We haven't had a chance to get together in a while, but soon enough, we'll all get back together and we'll get our regular agenda back to normal. And with that, stay safe, happy holidays. And unless anybody has anything else, we're adjourned. Thank you.